Piero, Kenny, I have one question and one question alone. When you watch WWE, is it must-see television weekly on TV, week in, week out? Do you need to tune in live, yes or no? Piero.
Whew.
Oh, it's me?
Or Kenny.
Damn.
Whichever one wants to go.
Oh,
Let's get Big
man.
Valentine.
It used to be, just a couple of months ago, during the build-up to WrestleMania, you didn't want to miss a thing. The Rock came out of nowhere with no announcements when Cody just mentioned his name. Gave us one of the most badass entrances of all time. So yeah, you wanted to watch Raw, SmackDown every single time. Now, I'm going to say this, and I know people are going to be mad, but even the pay-per-views sometimes feel like house shows that, hey, if you missed it, it's not a big deal. I mean, you look at Money in the Bank, the latest one. You look at Backlash, great pay-per-view. I love it. Fun. France. But, like, we all knew Cody was going to remain the champion. We all knew everything that was going to pretty much happen in that pay-per-view. So, you know, to your question, do we have to watch this thing every week? Look at the latest SmackDown. I gotta say right now, no. As of right now, recently, my answer is no.
Well, Big my problem is this. You know, Triple H, we know he's a guy who, just like The Rock says, likes to play the long game. So he goes for this long-term booking. And I think the long-term booking really hurts a lot of stuff because, yes, you got to wait. You got to let the story play out. But when it's moving so little every week to week to week, like you think about the Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio thing. So you got Liv Morgan every week, her and Dominic Mysterio just falling on top of each other. Dominic Mysterio putting his head in between her legs in the middle of a match. Like, what are we doing here? Rhea Ripley comes back. And the next week, what do? The same thing.
Yep.
Rhea Ripley's mad at Dominic Mysterio, and Dominic Mysterio is still jumping all over Liv Morgan. Like, we didn't take any steps to move forward in this story. We're still in the same spot. Now, I understand, again, long-term booking, let it play out, but this story has been playing out for months, and right now I feel like it's time to actually get a spike here where there's some type of turn to get people reinvested. We look at the Bloodline. They keep bringing people in, just bringing more and more people in. Now I just heard they signed Hikuleo, so I think he's going to be another guy who joins the Bloodline, and we don't even have the other guys established or over yet. Like, we don't know what's going on with these other guys. It's just Solo Sikoa with a bunch of people behind him. We're bringing people in, but the story is not moving forward. It just feels stagnant. Like, we're just trying to build to him and Cody Rhodes, but we're not doing anything to get there. You look at the superstars they're trying to build, but they're not successfully building them up. You got Braun Breaker going crazy, just running through everybody. Then you send him to Money in the Bank to lose to Sami Zayn. Now he's just interrupting all of Sami Zayn's matches, doing the same thing. Like, bro, you couldn't beat him. I mean, it's your fault. You lost the match. So move on and build yourself back up. Carmelo Hayes can't win a match to save his life. I feel like just the whole package we're getting in WWE right now needs to be reworked because I think what Kero said was perfect. Before WrestleMania, it was must-see TV. We were in here every night together watching this show just to see what happens next. Now, we come in here pretty much when the show is about to go off because just 3 hours for Raw is so rough to get through. And I think it will be better when they move to Netflix, but as for right now, man, it's tough. So is it must-see TV? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I agree with both of you. I think, like, one of the issues, right, is whenever people want to talk about Triple H and his booking, the immediate, you know, thing to go to is look at Vince McMahon. Look at how Vince was booking the show, compare it to how Triple H is booking the show now. And we can all agree, there is 100% way more competence, more common sense put into WWE storytelling now than there was with Vince McMahon. The TV show is night and day, much better than where it was in the early 2020s, late 2010s.
Yep.
But
I don't know. John Cena, Batista,
I mean,
Undertaker?
Like
Cena,
late,
Undertaker,
like 2018, 19, 20, those hellish years.
Kenny's just looking for a reason to do too much agreement going on in KTR. Shout out to you, Brian. When you're back, we'll talk about this again. But we get lost in this, like, oh my God, it's so much better than when Vince was booking, so much better than when Vince was booking, that I don't think we call out the very good faith and real criticisms of the show. And that is, a lot of times, nothing fundamentally changes. And that's fine when you're doing that in between shows, you're building up to, that's fine, and like you can get away with it if you have big stars who create big moments, right? Look at the Bloodline, for example, and their rise when Sami Zayn joined. In 2022, SmackDown was must-see because you were kind of like, I got to see what happens next in this Bloodline storyline. And even if they didn't really evolve the story, those segments were still fun. Those segments were still engaging. Those segments are why you tuned into the show. And when you have, segments that really don't advance storylines, when you have, the new Bloodline, which, again, like Kenny said, Solo's just bringing in guys and they're just standing behind him. That's all they're really doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have the action. You don't have the wrestling. Like, the best thing on this past week's Friday Night SmackDown, I think, in my view, was the matchup between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. Like, that, to me, was the best thing. And outside of that, like, there wasn't much action. There wasn't much wrestling. There was a lot of talking, but not talking that was necessarily important. And I agree with Caro. I think a lot of times, man, some of this stuff feels like house show stuff. That's not saying, again, that they're not capable of doing it, but I think, as I said before, biggest problem with Triple H booking is he's great when he gets to Mania. He's great when he gets to, like, big moments like SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. That's great. Moments in between, though, that weekly TV, it's just can't miss. And for that reason, why should we tune in live every week, right? Compared to a show like Kenny Baum, compared to a show like Dynamite. Like, Dynamite has been far from perfect over the past few years. But recently, they've gotten back to a formula that works. Having a big moment every show, making sure you have banger matches that advance storylines, and also making sure that you are building up to your pay-per-views. In my view, right now, ever since the June 15th edition of Dynamite, we have seen a night and day shift into what professional wrestling TV should be, which is can't miss.
Now you just turned it to a WWE versus AEW video, and they're going to go crazy in the comments.
Peace.
But the thing I gotta say is this, Big On, because you just put out a good point there. Everybody watches wrestling different. So the fact that SmackDown had a lot of talking on it, I don't mind that. Like, because I do like the stories more than the matches. I like the stories that build up to big matches at pay-per-view. So just week to week throwaway matches, I don't mind when they don't have wrestling for the whole show, like hour-long matches like they had on Dynamite. I don't mind things like that, as long as the storytelling is actually getting somewhere. I didn't mind the Bayley and Nia Jax promo. I think those things like that are good to kind of like build the feud and tension between the characters. So
give Bayley something. God damn, like, she's not doing anything. Here's two things I want to say. Like, number one, this SmackDown and Raw, I guess more so SmackDown though, especially even though it's a shorter show, feels like, besides the first wrestling match where, there was some cool spots, lots of action, everything else feels like I should be watching this 5-second clip on social media and not the show itself. Like, I get nothing out of watching the show itself. Like, I just see all the fillers, the ads I have to wait through. Because you look at the main event, the main, like, I don't want to just talk about the recent SmackDown, but, like, it was just a tag team match that had no consequences, no matter who won or lost. In reality, if you really think about it, all they wanted to do was to get to Jacob coming out there, the Bloodline coming out there and messing stuff up. And I guess that's the number one thing I want to say. Again, like, it just feels like I should be watching this through social media and not actually tuning in at the time. Or even if I'm tuning in, it's like it should be on the background. I shouldn't really pay attention to it, which I don't know. Then I would ask, where's the entertainment? Are we supposed to be entertained? And number two thing is, every a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we come here. And obviously we need to make videos, so we think of ideas, right? When it's Raw, there's usually one or two standout segments that we can talk about. Dynamite, there's, a couple of segments that we can talk about. When it's SmackDown, consistently for the past few months, like, myself personally, I'm like wondering what in the blue hell can we talk about here that we care about, but more importantly, you guys care about.
Right.
It's precisely why we're having this conversation.
Exactly.
Right now.
Exactly. You're right.
Much to talk about the show, other than like the booking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think, like, just to wrap it up, right? What can WWE do? What can Triple H specifically do to make SmackDown better?
Get to the point. I'll say that. Like, I don't mind, a storyline that, leads us into the pay-per-view. But when we get to the pay-per-view and we haven't moved forward in the storyline at all, then there's a problem, man. Get to the point.
Exactly.
I understand you like to play the long game, but you got to look at what Vince did and that the things that worked as well. You got to kind of blend the two together because it just feels like we just don't move anywhere week to week. So that's my short answer. Get to the point.
I think so. That's very true. Get to the point with some of the storylines. I'm okay with waiting for some of them. Let's wait for, the Bo Dallas storyline with the YS6. All right. But give us something to chew on right now as we're waiting on SummerSlam. And that's going to be my number 2 point, actually. We're not in the Backlash section of the year anymore where we have C or D level pay-per-views. This is SummerSlam. This is seen as one of your big fours, even though, that's not been the case for a while. You got to hype us up. Like, are you guys excited about anything that's going to happen at SummerSlam? Because Cody and Solo going for the WWE Championship does not excite me. And call me crazy if that's the case. But I think that's the second problem. Like, you got to build up and give us a reason to look forward to these big pay-per-views, even if it's something simple.
Right.
Yeah, I think, just to wrap it up, I mean, for me, if you're not even going to do any of that, just give me, some dope wrestling on the show. Give me some action to keep me engaged. Like, you have 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. There's no reason why less than an hour of that should be spent in the ring wrestling. Like, that is crazy.
Fair.
Especially, when, we know the show is going to drag. Like, you only do 5 matches per pay-per-view, so it's not like you need to save people for the pay-per-views. You have a stacked roster. We know these people can wrestle. They're doing it on NXT. NXT has probably the best week-to-week wrestling on WWE TV, hands down. So it's not a matter of whether they can or can't. We know they can. They're just choosing not to do it, and I think you're honestly alienating an entire fan base, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who at least want to have some action to look forward to. I can ignore the bad storytelling or lack thereof, honestly, if you just give me something engaging to watch. It's just, for the large majority of these shows, we're just not getting it outside of NXT, of course. We'll see, guys. Let us know in the comments what you think. Do you hate what we just said? Let us know. Make sure to hit that like button.
Oh, we already know.
Hit that notification bell. And remember, I don't have one, but remember to kiss that ring.
You got it coming big on.
Yeah, we'll get you.